All right, welcome to my channel. My name is Angryjay 93, and I'm here to play a little hockey and introduce myself and actually talk about my first team today with my first team breakdown, which will be the San Jose Sharks. What I'll be doing today is using the Sharks in a playoff run with a little bit of a twist. That's not exactly typical. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to do one game series, so it'll be a total of 4 games. And within these 4 games, I am going to use a different line combination every game. And by different, I mean I'm only going to use every player once. So that means, my starting lineup, which I have right here, which is a collection of, the top players in San Jose, they're all only going to be in for one game. So I have to plan this out carefully because there's a lot of bad players on this roster. And what I'm going to do is just kind of figure this one out as I go. This is something that I have done before at Coach Mac's house when we do playoff runs together. He'll pick a team to start initially, and I will also pick a team. And the goal is for me to beat Coach 4 times with 4 different lineups. So I'm going to try this here against the computer with an extra little bit of difficulty added to the end, which I'll dive into very shortly. Right now I'm going to pick my roster against Detroit. So Detroit's a lot faster, much more skilled than San Jose. But they're also very light. So I want to put some heavier defensemen out there if I can to give me some CB advantage because I don't really have enough weight bug checkers to make a difference here. So I think I'll go with David Williams on the right. He's got a little bit of a CB check lean to him. And then on the left, let's see, I probably will go. Decisions are already difficult here. I think I'll go Stanislaus Lynch just to give me some puck moving ability and a little bit of extra offense in this matchup. And then the forwards, I want to make sure I have guys that can skate because Detroit's just going to skate circles around me. And I can't have David Melee running around with his 1 speed. So, wow. Probably go Garpenlov because he can move a little bit. For center, there's not a lot of good center options on San Jose, but we're going to try and make it work with Robin Bawa. He's not very mobile, but he can CB a little bit. He's got enough power shot accuracy to sneak some one-timers by Shovelday, who's an average goalie on Detroit. And then at right wing, we're going to run out who looks good today? Nobody looks good. We'll go Mike Sullivan. He can move. Maybe do a little float shot with him. And it saves me some talent for later on in my playoff run. Because you have to be really careful. You don't want to just overload a lineup here. And then the extra little bit of difficulty here that I don't do with Coach Mac is my goalie situation. So if I have 3 goalies, I get to use 1 goalie twice. If I have 2 goalies, I get to use 2 goalies twice. Going against the computer, I need to make it a little bit trickier. So in one of these games, I'm going to go no goalie. Likely the Stanley Cup final, I'll go no goalie and see if I can win the cup without a goalie. But first, we're going to send out Jeff Hackett over the boards. He was the he led the team in games played in their expansion season, and I believe he led the team in games played in their second season, 92-93, which is the year that this game is modeled after. So hopefully he can get a win. He only won 2 games in 92-93. So if we win today, he'll have already reached the halfway point of his total wins. So now that I got a game going on, I'm going to talk a little bit more about who I am and why in the world I'm starting a channel and why you might be interested in watching it. So I've been playing NHL 94 since 1994. I've loved the game ever since I bought it, and I've played it almost nonstop for the last 25 years. I mean, there's never been a period where I haven't played a game for more than a few months. So I've played this game plenty by myself. I played this game plenty um, online. I've been playing online since about 2006, if I'm not mistaken. And in that time, I've played Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo. I've played all the top players from North America, even some of the guys from Europe. And that goal right there, just the goalie got screened. So even with a guy with weak shot power like Garpenlov, he can just put it to the far post and light the lamp. Back to what I was talking about. So I've played all sorts of different people, and I've seen a lot of different play styles. And I'm a student of the game still after all these years. I'm still seeing new things every now and again that um, I have that make me adjustments to my game to try and improve it, or to try and play better against the computer, or play better against actual human opponents. So even though it's kind of like what they say in poker, where with Texas Hold'em, it takes you a few minutes to learn the game, but it takes you a lifetime to master. The same goes for NHL 94. It takes you a couple minutes to learn. There's only a couple different buttons, but with those couple buttons, there's limitless possibilities and different ways to utilize them. So mastering this game takes a long time, and part of what I want to do is um, just make my knowledge of the game more well known to help either people get better or have more fun or just get into a new game. There's a lot of retro gamers out there. It's making a bit of a comeback. It's getting more attention, especially with Tecmo Bowl, and hopefully 94 follows in the same breath. So if we can attract new people, then that'd be great. And the great thing about this game is, like I said, it just takes a couple minutes to learn. If you have an idea about how sports works or video games, this isn't a very complicated one, but there's a lot of meat here to develop someone's game. So that's what this channel is about. Like I said, just getting 94 out there more. Just giving out more information, educating, and not just me educating other people. I want to learn more stuff too, so I can provide it to the channel, and hopefully other people can improve their game as well as I am mine, because it's a very competitive scene out there right now. If you want to be a top 94 player, especially with the live tournaments becoming more prevalent over the last few years. And that's another thing I've been doing a lot, is I've been doing all these live tournaments, and I've traveled all over the world to play 94, and it's opened doors for me that I would have never imagined. And some of the places I've gone to, I've been to Saskatoon 3 different times. I've been to Hartford, New York, Toronto, soon to be Vancouver. I've been to Green Bay to play a couple different times. I've even been to Finland and played a Classic League playoff series there with a Finnish player named Depsch, when I just happened to be in the country when we were doing a Classic League playoffs one year. And that was a really awesome experience to just, play a Finnish player live instead of over the internet, where well, for my case, because I live in California, 6,000 miles away, and the connection's, not ideal. So just actually sit down with one of them and play some 94 was a really cool experience. And these are the sort of things that I hope we can continue to do in the community by having more tournaments, and I continue to want to travel to as many tournaments as I can, because I love traveling, I love meeting new people, and I love playing in 94. So it all just goes hand in hand really well. And I hope this channel gives us more opportunities as a community to do these sort of things by getting more people involved, raising the awareness of the game, and one here. Oh. And just I want to make the community bigger and better, and get us more exposure. So that's what this channel is about, and hopefully people are interested in what I produce, and I'm always open to suggestions, so please feel free to email me, leave comments. If you're on the forums, leave me a personal message, or just post in my part of the forums. I have my own part of the forums where I've broken down all the teams with with different written articles, and I hope to expand on that a little bit more now that I have video capability. So I'm going to be trying to add video profiles for every team, maybe even video profiles just going more in depth about certain matchups that you might see in a tournament or in league play that warrant more attention because there's a lot of different factors involved in them, or they're just popular ones because the teams are evenly matched, or even if they're not evenly matched, maybe they're still picked a lot anyways, and I could just take the time out to go over things to break them down, because writing's a tool that I love to use. I love to write, but it can be a little difficult and more time consuming to devote all that time to writing an article and being very detailed and thorough with it than it is to throw up a video and talk about it for 20-30 minutes or however long I deem it necessary to talk about for. So those are also things I want to provide here, and hopefully there's a demand for it, or even a desire to watch it. Like I said, even if you don't want to play 94 competitively, maybe you just like retro gaming and you want to watch someone who can break the game down and do all sorts of different things and has a lot of experience to go off of. So hopefully a lot of what I say is accurate. If it isn't accurate, call me out. Please do. I mean, I want to be accurate on this channel, and I don't want to be biased and misinform people. That's not at all what I want to do. I, in fact, want to do the exact opposite. I want to help people get better. I mean, ideally, it would be great if people started kicking my ass, 70-80% of the time, just beating me by 4 or 5 goals every game, because then it would, show that I need to get better at what I'm doing, and hopefully I learn a lot, playing the game that way. And I would just love to see the community take another step forward in terms of the skill and the ability in playing this game. So right now it looks like I'm just about to wrap up the first game here with San Jose. It's not exactly a high-scoring game against the computer. Granted, it's a little bit tricky talking and playing at the same time. So maybe this is another added difficulty feature here, as opposed to just switching my lineups all the time and playing one game without a goalie. Talking and playing will also prove to be difficult, I would assume, with the way this is shaping up. So Jeff Hackett gets the first star. I don't think he got many first stars in 92-93. Going 230, and I think he had a couple ties thrown in there. 2-30, yeah, you're not going to get many first stars like that. So just look at the stats here. Detroit, I think they might have all been on cold streaks. So Detroit can be a little weird at home. They don't have a strong home ice advantage, which I'll go over when I get to them in their team profile. But they're a much better road team compared to a home team. They're not a bad home team, but sometimes they just have games where they're just kind of like, whatever. We were just out for a long road trip. This is the first day back. We're not really interested because we're already got first place locked down in the division. We're a great team. We don't need to win every game because we're already so far ahead. But looks like this was just a bad game for them because I was talking and just got some goals up and didn't look too tricky out there. So now I need to remember that these 6 players are not available for use anymore. And I'm also going to try and keep Kissio until the final game, or at least the game where I don't have a goalie, because he is the extra skater, and I don't want to accidentally use him twice because I want to have him at center one game and then he gets to play extra skater the second game. That doesn't seem quite right. So now we're going to have a tougher matchup here against Chicago as they beat Winnipeg. So we'll go on to the second round. And just make sure everything's set up right. Yep, okay, looks good. So now we're going to go to Chicago. So Chicago's clearly got the best player in the game, Jeremy Roenick. I can't. It's going to be difficult to account for him personnel-wise. So it's just going to take a good team effort and some CB checking, because Jeremy Roenick is susceptible to CB checking. So let's just go over one thing right now. What am I talking about when I say CB checking for anybody that's new or unfamiliar with NHL 94? So there's a bug in this game where let's look at the weight here. So Tom Peterson here, he has 172 weight. He's actually a much better checker than Doug Smolek, who's 236 pounds, despite being a lower rated checker when you look at the checking rating. Why is this? Well, the reason this is because checking is largely determined by weight in 94, but the programmers got it wrong, and they made the lighter players better at checking and better at resisting checking than the heavier players, which is obviously counterintuitive. But in 94, there's a way to counteract this when you're controlling a player. So let's say I'm using Doug Smolek, and I want to check Jeremy Roenick, and Jeremy Roenick is 172 pounds. So with Doug Smolek, when I'm controlling him and Roenick has the puck, I would use the C button to instigate a check against Jeremy Roenick. But before that check makes contact with Roenick, I'm going to hit the B button immediately after hitting the C button, hence CB check. First, you input the button C to check, and then button B to remove user control from the player you're checking with. And when this occurs, it reverses the bug to what it should be, which is heavier players check lighter players. And those lighter players don't have the same resistance that they would initially or typically against a guy like Doug Smolek. So that's what a CB check is. It's just a 2-button combination to rectify the weight bug and have the game play as it was intended. So in this matchup, Jeremy Roenick's clearly the guy I need to account for. So I want to make sure I have people out there who can be physical with them. And thankfully, nearly my entire roster is capable of that. So what I want to do here is I've already used Oslynch. He would have been a good option in this game, as he's fairly mobile and has enough CB ability. Enough CB ability to check Roenick. So I need to identify another player here. So I think I'll go with Rob Zettler. He's not nearly as mobile, clearly not an offensive threat, but he'll get the job done here in this situation. And for a right defenseman, I think I'll go Neil Wilkinson. He's a nice balanced defenseman. Also, he's got really nice passing, which we'll go over a little bit later as I break down the San Jose roster starting in the next video. So we'll throw Neil Wilkinson in there, and then forward. So Chicago's got a great forward, Jeremy Roenick, and then a good forward, Steve Larmer, and then a not good forward, Michel Goulet. None of them are exactly heavy, but none of them, aside from Roenick, are light. Larmer's a 7-weight. Goulet is an 8-weight. The issue with San Jose is they have a lot of guys that really can't check 7 or 8-weight players, so it almost doesn't really matter who I put out here. It's just a matter of who do I want to use this game, and what combination of players do I think can help score against Ed Belfour, the highest rated goalie in the game, because San Jose doesn't have much shooting ability. So I actually do need to use some decent players in this matchup to get the puck by Belfour when I do have the chance to shoot. So in this game, I'm going to use, let's see, who do I want on left wing? I think I'll use John Carter. No, I'm going to save him for a different matchup because he can actually CB check. I think I'll use Mark Peterson. Yeah, he's okay in this matchup. And then I'll use Gaudreau at center because he's my second best shooter on the team. And then I do need a good skater because I do need good players in this matchup to beat Chicago. If I give up a couple of early goals, this is a matchup that can go wrong against the computers if I don't get the bounces. So I'll use Perry Berezan. He's one of my favorite players on the team. And then goalie. So I don't remember who I saw on the other side of the matchup in the Western Conference, but I'm going to go Urbe. He'll have the best chance at stopping Roenick's shot. Roenick has one of the best shots in the game with his shooting power and his shot accuracy both being a 5. And, again, this is another nomenclature thing that some people unfamiliar with 94 may not be aware of. So the ratings in the game are from 25 to 100. So the speed of every player is rated from 25 to 100. This shooting accuracy is also rated from 25 to 100. Checking ability, every stat is, aside from weight, is 25 to 100. But they're not exactly 25 to 100 every game. There's hot and cold streaks which can adjust ratings in a certain manner. So one game, you can have 45 shot power. In another game, you could have 38 because a player's hot or a player's cold. Also, players stay within certain ranges, which are determined by their rating presets. So there's the basic rating preset is 0 through 6. So I like to look at it as essentially A through F grading, but then you also have an S rating and an E rating. So the S would be a 6, which means you have 100 of a rating, and that rating doesn't fluctuate because it's 100. And if you have a 6, it's always 100. You're just an elite player at that attribute, so you get to be elite every game. After that, there's 5 rating, which is 81 through 99, which means you're still pretty much elite at what you're doing. So Jeremy Roenick has a 5-5 shot, which means every game he's between 81 and 99 rated, depending on his hot or cold. He'll never be below 81, never be above 99. That's what a 5 will allow him to do. And then there's a 4 rating, which is 63 to 80. 63 to 81. And then there's a 4 rating, which is 48 to 62. And then a 3 rating. 4 is 62 to 81. 3 is 48 to 61. 2 is 40 to 47. 1 is 30 to 39. And a 0 is 25 to 29. The exact ratings might differ by a point or two from what I just said. I don't necessarily remember them exactly, but that's the general neighborhood. So if you have a 5-5 shot, which means 5 shot power, 5 shot accuracy, you're a great shooter. And guys like Artur's Urbe, who are low rated goalies, I think Urbe is a 52 overall. He's going to have a lot of trouble dealing with that type of shot power because he just doesn't move well enough to cover the angles or the net. And then if you get a guy like Brian Hayward in there, who's 38 rated goalie, he's not going to have any chance against Roenick if he's getting one-timers or big slap shots out there. So that's just a long explanation of why Urbe in this matchup as opposed to the other 2 goalies and what the ratings in the games mean. We'll go over them as I break down every team. I know there's going to be a lot of question on what exactly is a 4 rating, what's a 5 rating mean? It says there is 70 in the game. What do you mean? It fluctuates or whatever. See, there's Roenick with this 5 shot power. Urbe has no chance because he's just too slow. And Roenick just blows it by him. So always feel free to ask in the comments questions about things that I just overlook, because when I say the 3 shot power rating, I know what I'm talking about, and a lot of other people do too, but not everybody does. So, if something seems a little unclear, just throw a comment. And ideally, I'll be live streaming these, and hopefully people will be watching, and then you can just ask me as I'm streaming, and I can give you a real-time answer. For right now, this is just kind of the introductory video. This is a first shot at what the actual content on this channel might look like. I mean, it's a very this is clearly in its infancy in terms of presentation, in terms of what I'm providing content-wise, and there's going to be some adjustments made in the meantime, but it's important just to get this stuff out here to get started, and then make adjustments as I go. So, like I said, always feel free to just comment on things you like, things you don't like, questions you have. You can even comment about things that aren't related to the game at all. Not going to be real picky. Just want to see activity on the channel, get people involved and build a community here. So right now, it seems like things are going okay with San Jose and Chicago. Well, not in Chicago, we're in San Jose, which does help because San Jose actually is a somewhat decent home team, which we'll go over here shortly. Why they're a good home team, what makes them a good home team. Especially compared to their other expansion brethren, who are all poor home teams. So, end of the second period here. doesn't look like it's going to be too threatening of a game by Chicago. They're going down a man. Although with Michel Goulet on the ice, some would argue they're already down a man. But we'll try and wrap this game up and move on to the next round. Where, like I said, I don't remember who was in that other side of the bracket, so I'm not sure who I'm going to get. I would assume it's going to be a good team, because when you have San Jose in the playoff matchups against the computer, you tend to play good teams, because San Jose had a terrible year, so a lot of their playoff matchups are against the higher rated teams in the game, and hence why I'm playing Detroit and then Chicago. I mean, they were two of the better teams in the league at the time. And looks like Belfour's shaping up back there. And there goes Goulet, or that's Gilbert. So that's not much of a loss for Chicago to lose Gilbert. But losing Wilkinson's not a good thing. I don't remember who the default sub is. I mean, it's hard to remember who the default sub is when you have a penalty, when you're always changing up the lines, because it screws with the depth chart a little bit. That's a good save. So let's see, that's Jay Moore. And he's actually a decent little player that essentially never gets used in league play, online play, tournament play, local neighborhood play. Nobody uses him, even though he does have some pretty nice stats for an expansion defenseman, which we'll go over after this game. Like I said, I'll break down the team before the Western Conference final matchup and do my first team breakdown. Hopefully give some good information and stuff that people can use in league play and tournament play. I'm going to break down the teams a little bit more in depth than I have online through my forum posts. I'm going to focus more on giving team strengths, team weaknesses, whether it be they're playing teams within their own tier or outside their own tier, as you often will have to do in league play, where maybe you'll have a bad team, a tier 4 team, and you end up having to play Chicago, which is a tier 1 team, and you're going to have a lot of matchups like that in league play. In tournament play, not so much. They should be more even, ideally. But you never know. Sometimes people pick crazy matchups, and you just have to be ready for everything. So I'm going to try and focus a bit more on breaking down team matchups and team strengths and what makes every team unique, because every team is certainly unique in this game, and there's a, I don't want to say a right and a wrong way to play these teams, but there's an efficient way to play them and an inefficient way. So again, we're going to break that down in this next video. We're going to step away here for a moment after the Sharks celebrate their victory here, with Mark Peterson getting 4 goals. I almost didn't put him in, and he ended up saving the game. So it's a good thing he got in there. And looks like another solid game here. So I'll see you guys on the other side with a new matchup. We'll see who we're playing, actually. Let's take a look. Toronto. So I'll see you guys on the other side, where we play Toronto, and the winner will face Philadelphia or Pittsburgh in the Cup final. All right, until next time, bye.